What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey kids, I almost said Thursday. That's how busy I am, and that's how crazy it is in this house. I am nuts. Maybe it's because I'm so petrified of my guest I can't stand it. No, I'm kidding. I've met Jen before, actually. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting Jen in New York City, and I consider myself to be very, very blessed, not only to have been in her presence and meet her lovely husband, but also get an opportunity to find out about the person behind the stigma, so to speak. I think a lot of us nowadays, when we view actresses or actors, we put them on quite the pedestal, and we kind of look at them in some ways as though they're superhuman, and Jen certainly does fit that description, but I can guarantee you she's a very level-headed, very lovely, very, very, very accomplished individual. So without further ado, because I know her time is pressing and I have about 850,000 questions for her, let's get Jen on the line and we'll start chatting about her illustrious career. Oh, my God. Is this Jen?
This is Jen. Hi, Cindy.
Oh, my God. It's like you're standing right next to me on a staircase at a film festival, only it was like what seems like a year ago, doesn't it?
I know. It's been a crazy summer.
It has been. It's been absolutely crazy. I've been watching your wall to find out what's going on with you because I'm so busy and you're so busy. And every time you see Jen, folks, just in case you're not her friend on Facebook, you have the loveliest smile. When you have blue on your face, when you don't have blue on your face, when you're with your husband, it's like so funny. I'm like, damn, that woman is beautiful. She could do anything and she's still pretty. You suck. In the best way, of course.
That is very kind of you. You clearly have not seen me after a stomach flu.
That is true. And I haven't seen her while she's been having a glass of wine yet. So we have to wait to see those other tests and see how things go. So we have a lot of ground to cover because I'm going to start off by saying I know that Jen has limited time. I don't. I could talk to her for like 2 hours, but she doesn't have 2 hours to give me, which makes me cry because I have enough material for 2 hours.
I could totally come back.
or actually, I could totally live interview you because I'm coming to New York City soon. Well, not soon enough for me. Yes, going to Golden Door. Are you going? You're attending, yes?
When is Golden Door? I don't have any films that are going there, I don't think.
Yes, you do. It's this film called, Enchantments. Did you ever hear of that one?
Is Enchantments at Golden Door? Oh, yeah, then I'll totally be there.
Yes, darling. Wait, isn't that her film? Yeah, it is. Okay, Jen, just to let you know, you were in Enchantment.
Yes.
That's okay. It's the
I got the memo on that one.
24th to the 27th. I'm coming in on the 23rd, but I would like to talk to you guys about doing live interviews, like Enchantments and Networker and a couple of the other ones. That would be fun. And then, like hang out and socialize and do all that fun stuff. And you guys, you should see her with her husband. Oh, my God. Let's talk about your husband first. We'll get to the gushy, mushy stuff because Andy's your college sweetheart. So we like to talk about love on the show. So let's talk about it because I'm a loser I'm not really a loser. I'm just a single loser holding on to my ex. So let's talk about happy love, which is Jen. It's not my fault.
Let's see.
Go ahead.
Andrew and I have been together for about 10 years now, and we met in school doing theater together, and it was really just one of those kismet situations. He had transferred in from another community college, and it was the beginning of the semester, and like the word around the theater buildings was, oh my God, Jen, have you met this guy Andrew? He's crazy, he's funny, he's so exciting, he's so talented. And I didn't see this guy at all. Like everybody I knew him, and I had no idea who he was. And
oh my God.
Ultimately, I know, right? So it was almost like this whisper campaign going around. Okay. And when I finally met him, it made a ton of sense because the two of us are like two peas in a pod, you know? He's he's wacky and crazy, and he and I were actually up for the same role that semester in a role that was either going to be guy in drag or a woman. So it was a little bit kismet, a little bit written in the stars from the get-go.
Aww. Oh, that's an all moment. Oh, everybody. Feel that love? I can. And I'm not even jealous, even though I don't have a husband. But I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to find one. That's my new thing now. I'm like, let's do a web series on following Cindy for 4 days and totally find me a husband. I actually have a celebrity crush. I call him a celebrity crush because he's been on my show. And you might even know him. He resides in New York City. Yeah. It's kind of a big deal. And he's an actor. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, though. His name is... Should I say it on air? I can. What's he going to do, yell at me? He's a good friend of mine. Actually, he runs Webster Hall. Do you know Gerard McNamee?
No, I don't.
Oh, my
God. But clearly I'm going to have to, so I can set the two of you up.
I love you. I love Jen already. But enough about my sordid love life. We'll get on to that later. Okay, we want to talk about a bunch of things. I have like every project you've ever done on my thing. But let's talk about we're going to jump around a lot. We're going to talk about TV. We'll talk about film. We'll talk about theater. We're going to talk about the production company. I have some random questions. And we're going to talk about your future projects. But I want to start. Let's promote this a little bit because this is news I didn't find out until recently. Let's talk about September 26th because Jen, again, is going to be teaching a master class for actors, and that's at the One-on-One New York City. So talk to me a little bit about how you got into teaching and what do you feel makes you worthy, let's say, because I've seen your page, I've seen the reviews, and people just love the way that you teach. And so talk to me a little bit about some of those qualities that you possess that kind of instill in other actors.
I think one of the biggest things that I bring to the table as a coach and a teacher is my resilience. You know, it can be a difficult road to hoe. It can be something where the odds feel against you at all times. It can be something where you are standing on the ground and looking up at this great big mountain and you're like, I don't even know where to start. Who says that it's my place to be here? Who says that I can scale this mountain? Who says that I deserve any of that? And I think one of the things that has served me the most in my career and also in helping others with theirs has been my ability to start tackling the mountain, not only with the mindset that, yes, if you've got it in your heart, there's a reason for it. And I believe that fiercely. You know, for anybody who has ever really wanted something with all of them, but with their everything, I think that those kinds of desires, those kinds of dreams are in us for a reason. And so we owe it to the dream to give it everything we can. So there's a lot of mindset work that I like to do with my actors on shedding some negative and limiting beliefs in so far as what the game looks like and what those rules have to be. Do you have to look like this? Do you have to remind somebody of this or that actor? Are you someone who, quote unquote, deserves to be on television or not? You know, I really like to throw all of those rules right out the window because I think they're, I think old and antiquated rules, and I don't think they really serve anyone.
Correct.
So there's that element of it for me. And then there's also the element of really with the mindset that gives you that freedom. Okay, if you feel like you deserve this dream, if you knew you could do anything in the world, what would it be? Would you write a letter to Steven Spielberg asking him to be your mentor? Would you write your first screenplay and try to get a pitch meeting with, with a major producing team? Really, once you free your mindset from all of those self-imposed blocks, I really like to guide the people that I work with through actions that are way outside their comfort zone, but that are very resonant, so that if they do them smartly, you've got smart, passionate action that will only continue to oomph up your own confidence as well as open up some doors for the kinds of relationships and jobs that you want to unfold around you.
Oh, certainly, definitely.
So
that brings to mind, actually. I just had a question that popped into my head, which I thought a couple of different acting questions for you in particular. If anyone has seen Jen before, obviously, in today's society, I think can be somewhat cruel, to tell you the truth, when you're talking about the whole perception and persona of, like, a model has to be 5'9", for instance, because I've modeled and I, of course, constantly get turned down, which is not my calling in life, but it's like, why do I have to be 5'9"? So, for instance, let's take a look at Jen. Jen is not 110 pounds, and I'm not going to lie about that. And it's not because I mean you're not 110 pounds. But look at you go, girl. And why? Because it's about how you act. It should never be about how you look. And I guess my question to you is, how hard of a challenge is that? Because I think Hollywood, quote-unquote, the Hollywoods of today, expect, pretty people. You see the George Clooney's, the Brad Pitts, you've seen, Julia Roberts. They get the signature roles. They work with the studios, etc. So have we really gotten that far and passed beyond the whole image thing when it comes to being a working actor?
I think it's definitely in medias res. I feel very lucky to be in the stew pot at such a critical time. There's a lot of really exciting things happening for women, and that includes everything. Of course, there's always going to be a lot of really exciting things happening for very beautiful, very slender women. That's sort of like, of course, right? Very slender, very beautiful white women. But we're also at this really magical time where I think a lot of women of size, a lot of women of various ethnicities and various, anywhere on the scale of, quote unquote, commercial attractiveness are really demanding and seen. And this would not be at such a prime moment if it were not for women like virtually the entire cast of Orange is the New Black. That is such an incredible platform for us to be seeing so many women looking very, very real, all colors, all sizes, all genders being represented there. But also some very lovely women of size who are taking the box office by storm. I mean, Melissa McCarthy, she is changing things so monumentally just by being herself, by being amazing. My dream director, Paul Feig, has really embraced everything that she can bring to a set, to a project. I mean, he hired her and Rebel Wilson all in the same movie, the women that he's assembled as his Ghostbusters. I mean, there's so much work going on right now that if, in the next 2 years or so, if you and I have another interview and I'm in a much different place, a lot of that hard work is being taken care of now by these women who are really at the forefront. And I think it's very special. And if that is something that a torch that I can run with when it's my turn, I am happy to do so.
Oh, I have no doubt you will be lighting torch after torch after torch. People, I'm telling you, listen to this interview. Just wait, it gets better. Another acting question for you. I've always been curious to ask because I've seen some of the body of your work. So how complicated or complex is it for you to make that transition for one day you're doing the humorous side of things, then you're looking more towards the harder side of yourself, meaning the dramatic roles? How hard is that to flip-flop and flip-flop? Because I get the sense by nature, of course, that you are lighthearted and inspirational and very positive and very happy and funny. So when I see you doing the drama, I think to myself, what does that take? What kind of mental work does that take for you?
I think they're both truths. It's just the different shades of it, right? So even if you look at, let's take the color pink, for example, if we think of it in colors. And if we think of me generally as this like bubblegum pink personality, and it's very light and it's very fun and it's very hopeful and optimistic, as that pink, as we add more white into it and it gets really light, it gets really fluffy and airy. And so I also do a lot of like really ditzy, brainless roles. that I have a lot of fun with. And I'm not going to lie, I'm blonde. There are times that the roots reach on down into my brain and they take over. It happens. There's the truth there. And
okay.
And then if we take that pink and we scale it towards the darker side of the spectrum, we start to get dark maroons and berries and magentas, and it becomes a heavier color. So maybe at the nexus, we still have that bubblegum pink. But when you add in all of the qualities that then, it's almost like the flip side of the coin. So whereas I am somebody who, 90% of the time is very sensitive, compassionate, open, optimistic, I'm also an easily wounded person. So if I were to look at those more dramatic characters that I tend to play, they tend to be victimized. I played a role off Broadway in Hallie Pfeiffer's play, How to Make Friends and Then Kill Them. And this role, it was so perfect for me. And it was a character that starts as a little girl. She starts as like 8 years old, and you see her grow up until she's like 22. And this is, to the nth degree, the totally depressed, desperate for love and attention outcast that I was when I was very young. Really just getting trampled to bits by my peers. I didn't really have any friends. I had like one friend, and everybody else was totally a friend of me. They were fair weather people. But there was just this willingness that I had in the darkest of those moments, like I would have done anything for those people over myself. And so you see those kinds of qualities that hopefully as we grow up, we sort of learn to then, put them to rest, or we learn to see them and then move on from them. So I'm glad to have many fewer of those toxic relationships in my life now as an adult. But, to be able to examine that same individual, and I think that's a very interesting thing to be able to do when you are looking at darker characters. And I think it's why it can fit like a glove just as perfectly on a comedic actor, because you look for those elements. Andrew has always said, when someone's funny, there's a reason for it.
That's an interesting analogy. I've not heard that. That's cool.
Yeah, and
Very
he's like, you never, ever, ever hear a story of a funny person who has not been through it. So I think that's why it's pretty much just you're just seeing a different side of them. But it's, I think, just as easy to put on. Might not be as, but it's just as easy to work with.
Exactly. I understand. I mean, I can understand as much as I can because I haven't acted yet. Somebody asked me to act recently, and I laughed at them. I'm like, do I look like an actor to you? I think not. I can barely get to writing some of these days. I lose my energy. I'm like, I'm getting pulled in 100 directions. I can't act. My life is an entire theater production, for God's sake. So kudos to you for being able to do this. Maybe you'll be able to teach me before I'm dead.
Yeah.
Speaking of having
I'm totally going to have you reprise that.
Yes. I know you made a quote, and I'm actually going to quote you right now, and I'd like you to explain this quote to the people that are listening, because I like it. I think it was really cool. This was you, and you were quoting your. This is a quote of yours as it relates to. I know one of the things that was very, very important to you were your television roles, or in particular having lead roles, so to speak. And in talking about your experiences, one thing that stuck out to me is when you said once you make a dent, it gets easier. And so I could relate to that, of course, because I've not been in radio forever. And then, I started meeting publicists. I do a couple interviews, meet a publicist, and now people are coming to me all the time, which is nice. And so maybe if there are people that are listening in that are starting out as acting or not getting very far with acting, maybe explain that a little bit in terms of how crucial what you're saying is, meaning making that dent, or how do you formulate a plan to make a mark to where you can get somewhere with such competition and such, your business is, I can't even imagine how hard it must be to have a dream like that and to be in competition with thousands of other people.
And I think part of the magic of it, you just touched on it right now, Cindy, is that it's not really that you're in competition with everybody. I think that is part of what makes it so hard for people, because if you're going to look at it like that, holy crap, you may as well just give up and turn on the television and never leave your apartment again.
Right.
But when you know that what you have, like, there is never going to be a job that is your job that you're not going to book. And there's never going to be a job that was supposed to be your job that someone else is going to book. So I think the most well-known quote that sort of parallels once you make a dent, it starts to get easier, is the whole idea of work begets work. Because people love people who are working, people who are getting known around town. You know, automatically the trustworthiness of you as a commodity goes up. But also, if people are, I can take it right back to the way that I coach, which is the way that I treat my own career. If you're taking it to your mindset every day, and you know that the jobs that are supposed to be yours are going to be yours, and the jobs that are not, are not. So the best thing that you can possibly do is to believe in yourself, honor your dream, and do your very best every single day to take big, bold actions that are outside of your wheelhouse or that are outside of your comfort zone, to assemble a really inspirational community of people around you. It can also be hard to be a creative in a community where there are a lot of people coming at it from the scarcity competition side of the mentality. That makes it a really unpleasant playing field. And thankfully, years ago, I decided that I was going to entirely remove myself from that. Finding people around you that don't see it as a competition, that just see it as everybody playing in the sandbox together, collaborating, amazing people meeting other amazing people, and creating opportunities for each other. That's what helps make those dents. And so naturally, if all of that stuff is happening, if you've got your head game right, if you're surrounding yourself with beautiful, wonderful, inspirational people that push you to be your best and support you regardless, and you're doing the same thing for yourself, I think there's virtually no way. I mean, the little dent that you see, that's just what you see, let alone what is actually happening that you can't perceive, because there are conversations going on 3,000 miles away, or people Googling you several times away, or whatever. But when you see the dent, you know that automatically there is at least tenfold going on around that dent to further propel your success, you know?
And no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think a lot of times, or oftentimes, everyone has a dream, and they become so bombarded with, oh, I have a kid or two or three. Oh, I have friends that need me. They become, and everyone is I like to believe, is a wonderful person. But if you lose sight of your dreams, I think you have to have passion for everything you do in your life, or you're not living. And even if you try and you don't succeed, you've at least tried. You know what I'm saying? Well, hello, listen to Miss Blondie over here living every dream known to man, but we won't go there. You're sensational. Can you tell that I like her? I don't hate her. It's true. She's so lovely. Okay, we're going to talk about theater now.
Okay.
She is lovely. We're doing theater now. Okay, listen to this, people, because this is what I find funny about this. You read Jen's resume. Listen to this one. 12th Night, which is a lovely Shakespearean thing, although I never got Shakespeare. How funny. I've been writing for 20 years and I don't get Shakespeare. Can you say dumbass? That's okay. Oh, I'm not supposed to say, I can. It's my show. But then she turns around and does this. Psycho Beach Party, all about walking and the drunken city. I'm like, do you see a correlation here? I don't. I'm like, what is this? She's way out in 75th Field here. I'm like, here's the question about theater, of course, because obviously I know that you had gotten your bachelor's from your college, which is Ramapo College in Jersey, which is, of course, where you're from. Now, theater, in terms of that, I've talked to other actors, and I just want to get your introspect on this, because some people will say they absolutely love acting on stage, or some are on television, and they'll say their true love is with the theater. I suspect that's not the case with you, but I just want you to talk a bit about your theater experience and what made you get involved with what seems like somewhat off-the-wall productions.
My true love, the truest form of it that I can even imagine would be having a very long, healthy, 7+ year multi-camera sitcom making people laugh live all the time. So it's like theater and TV combined, because I love the audience that television gets. I love that you can be virtually wherever you are in the world and still have access. I love that, it doesn't necessarily get snowed out if you have an off-Broadway run, right?
Okay. Right.
So there's that. I adore theater. I absolutely do. I love live performance, and I also love not live performance, but live, especially with comedies, is just so fun, so fun. So that's really my very favorite. In terms of getting involved in such wide-ranging productions, Twelfth Night was my first ever Shakespeare show, and it was in college, and I had a blast. We did it as a 60s beach party, and it was fantastic. It was my first semester in school. I was surrounded by really wonderful, talented, amazing people. I was doing a great, fun show. It showed to me that I could do Shakespeare, and it was a wonderful, formative experience. And the director on that, Rich Topol, he was a guest director and an adjunct professor, but he's also got a really nicely flourishing acting career of his own. I know he was doing Bronx Bombers last year, and he's pretty well known around New York, and it was a wonderful joy to be working with him. Otherwise, Psycho Beach Party, almost like a bizarro world version of the 12th Night production. That was a Charles Busch play that was produced in Cranford, New Jersey at the Theater Project, which is a really wonderful regional theater that I've worked with a number of times, and I've got a lot of friends who've been working there for years and years. They're a great family. And I had known the team for a while, and I knew that they were casting for this show, so I auditioned and I booked the role of Berdine, who's this very nebbishy, overeager, sort of loyal best friend to the death of the protagonist / antagonist, Chicklet, who has multiple personality disorder. So
okay.
That was a lot of fun. We had a blast doing that one.
Nice.
All About Walk-In was an LA-based show that ended up coming to New York just for like a month or two. And the guy who created the guy who created it, Patrick, he brought over a couple of his LA actors, but really the whole idea behind the show is that it's a bunch of Christopher Walken sketches, monologues, and scenes from his entire body of work. And so Patrick finds all of these actors who take on one or two or more sketches or scenes, and they basically do their best Walken impersonation in the show. And so you've got like an hour and a half of complete Christopher Walken insanity. So fun. We did it under St. Mark's. What year was that? That was maybe 2008, 2009. And they still do it over in LA to this day. So that was a blast. I mean, not everybody can say they got to play Christopher Walken.
Of course.
So
how cool is that, right?
Oh my God, it was so fun. So fun. It's a very, very funny show. So that was a lot of fun. And what else do we have on there? 13 Fat Girls and a Dead Cat?
Yes, I had mentioned that, and I thought to myself, well, I don't know if we want to go there, because I'm like, we don't want everyone thinking you're that weird, because we haven't even finished yet. Wait till there's other things on this list.
Good play. Oh, it's such a good play.
All right, fine, talk about it. Feel free, chat.
When I first started working in New York, I met a playwright who is now a dear friend of mine, Lena Siglaris. And one of the sort of lesser-known things about me that most people would not expect is that I am a horror movie fanatic. I love them. Well, you would know that because you are our biggest horror hotties fan. But most people would not imagine that I am a horror movie fanatic. And Lena is a very funny playwright, but she writes these really delicious black comedies that usually revolve around a horrific element. And so the first show that I ever saw of hers that I had auditioned for was one called Strange Bedfellows, which was sort of like a Three's Company situation with this young girl who lives with Michael Myers, Jason, and Leatherface.
Oh my God.
Yes. And I didn't book that show, but Lena wrote me afterwards and she's like, just so you know, I think we should really stay in touch because I really liked you. And I was like, oh my God, I think your work is amazing. So we've been really good friends ever since. And she wrote this play and it was just deliciously wicked and very, very funny. And we did it at the Producers Club in the winter of 2009. So that was just so much fun. She's such a great writer, and she's actually got a lot of really exciting stuff going on right now. And the two of us are working on a horror film together right now. So that is
really now?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because let's talk about this a minute, because I saw Jen, and let's talk about how I knew her. Now, here's a cute little story. Kelsey O'Brien, big friend of the show, who's been on, who is also the actual creative force behind Making Enchantments, also starred in it, also Jen, of course, being in it, although she doesn't remember, apparently. So I go to New York City, and I go to Enchantments, and I go to see this and all this good jazz, and I see Jen. Do I recognize her for any of these things that we've talked about? No. All I wanted was, why are there no horror hotties? So I talked to Kelsey about horror hotties. Now you're on my show, so now we must talk about it. Little Jen here, I'm doing a horror film. You can't give me my horror hotties, but you can go and do a horror film. I'm protesting. I want some horror hotties. So now you got to tell everybody, because I made Kelsey explain. Tell everybody about the horror hotties, and then tell everyone why it's not on right now, because we want to know.
Horror Hotties exclusively is not on right now because Kelsey is so busy making it rain with Enchantments and everything that she's got going on. I adore her. I'm delighted for her, and I totally miss doing Horror Hotties because the two of us are horror aficionados. Kelsey's a little bit more of a scream queen type. I'm a little bit less assumedly so, but the two of us would just get together and we would start geeking the hell out about all of the horror tips and did you see this and oh my God, did you see that one? Right. And we would watch these movies sort of concurrently on Netflix, and then we were like, oh my God, we should do like a vlog about this. And so we started Horror Hotties, which was the two of us in front of a camera basically dissecting elements of what we see. So we had like best hairdos of 80s horror, or what's the deal with vampires, or or the best possible holiday horror movies that you can find street right now. Yep. So we had a lot of fun with that, a ton of fun, and I am very much hoping that she and I get back to doing it and that we have some new episodes to show you, because Lord knows I have to catch up with her. All of the
I know, right?
Oh my God,
know, right? Oh, it's crazy. I can't wait to get there because I'm totally tracking her down. What she doesn't know, what she does know is, because she had asked me. So I scored her some Packer tickets. She's a Green Bay Packer fan, and I'm from Wisconsin, and I'm not a Packer fan, but I agreed and consented that I get her some kick-ass seats, and we would go to this game together. So that's got to get me some clout. So we're going to corner her. We're going to get her alone. in New York City someplace to be like, we need to get on this horror hotties thing. And then I was thinking about premiering this before I get there. I did a lovely review of The Networker. I've done a review of Enchantments, which, by the way, Jen has found her way into that review. I'll just say that. Kelsey's been on pins and needles to see it, and it's a wonderful review. So I might premiere it at the festival. I might just give it to her now. I know she's anxious, so we'll see on that. But enough about Kelsey because we love her to death. But this is the Jen Show today. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about a couple of different things. First of all, I would like you to speak to the audience about, I don't know if I can pronounce this right. Is it Paquet Productions? Because you're part of that creative team, of course, which, okay, got it, which, of course, creates Weirdos Next Door. So we're going to talk about Weirdos Next Door, and I also know that you are also working on a pitch palette for that as well. So let's start off. Paquet Productions is the three of you, yourself and your two other partners. So I'd like you to explain to everybody what Weirdos Next Door is and how exactly did you become a puppeteer?
Those are really good questions.
Thank you.
Paquet Productions. Paquet Productions is myself and my co-producers Kay Cook and Packy Anderson. The three of us a couple of years ago formed our production company because of, long story short, Kay and I had been part of like an inspirational mastermind group, and we kept coming back to the presence and inspiration and sort of life teachings of Jim Henson and how, of course, prevalent they were when she and I were growing up, and through everything that he created, how the life lessons that have been instilled in us were the things that Jim Henson and the Muppets were teaching us from day one. You know, believe in yourself, do your best to achieve your dreams, be kind to others, help out, work together, make it happen, that kind of solidarity and believing in the rationally impossible, let's say. And so he has always been a humongous inspiration and foundation piece for me. And Kay felt the same way. So as the two of us were kind of jamming about him, we also went into lifelong dreams. And I always said I would know I made it when I was in a Muppet movie. Like, you know, you made it when you're acting alongside Muppets. And she had said that she always wanted to be a Muppeteer. So she took this and she ran with it. And I don't know what it is about her, but she has the ability to basically look at something and then entirely recreate it. So she ended up scratching her head and saying, I wonder if I could make a Muppet. And then maybe days later, she was like, here, I made a Muppet. And I'm like, holy crap, you made a Muppet. And she just was better and better at it until the point where she had made 4 core characters. And this is a little bit condensing the timeline. She made her main character, Ket, who is a cat creature with really wild ostrich-colored hair, and she's very imaginative. She's 7 years old. She's really playful. She's very impulsive. So Kay made Ket and then spent a couple of months refining her on-camera technique and sort of learning what she could do with this creature and learning what it was like to puppeteer on camera. Again, this is really first time for everything, perhaps minus some like basic puppetry skills that many of us had accumulated from like general drama classes.
Gotcha.
So she very quickly became incredibly competent at building puppets and manning them. So she made hers. Then she made Packy's main character, Rudy Monster. Then she made Wellington Sheep, who is her secondary character. And then she finally made my first puppet, Lil the Bunny. And at that point, we had this full family of characters. And we decided, I wonder what it would be like if we made our own show for these guys. So The Weirdos Next Door was born. And really the first time that you're introduced to everybody was back in our first season in the summer of 2013, where it's basically set up that Ket is kind of adopted by Rudy, and he lives in this house with his deadbeat live-in roommate, Wellington, who basically lives in the basement free of charge. And so when this orphaned cat happens upon his house, he kind of basically becomes a single dad. So we have a very full house vibe. It's a really mix and match family. Lil Bunny makes her way in pretty soon on in and becomes the even more mischievous, even more impulsive, smaller kid sister to Ket. And we've added in the romantic element of, funnily enough, we call her Human Jen, because there is me, Jen, and then there's Lil, and then there's my character that is also named Jen on the show. So we call her Human Jen. And Human Jen lives next door to this entire family. And one might not know exactly why she thinks they're so normal or why she is so open to being close with them, but you learn very soon that not only was Jen proverbially raised by Jim Henson and the Muppets, her entire family is puppets. So the weirdos next door, you never really know who is the weird one. It could be all of the other normal people in the neighborhood. It could be Jen and her family, or it could be Rudy's family. But either way, it's this really lovely mishmash. A family is a family, no matter how weird you all are. So that is the Weirdos Next Door. And we are currently... we really love it because, you know, as you grow up, you learn that, you know, family is what you make it, whether you come from a really crazy family dynamic and your family is exclusively friends, or whether your family is your real family, but they're kind of weird and you learn to embrace them, warts and all. Or, you know, or when you're a creative person and you move to New York or LA from thousands of miles away and your new creative community really becomes family to you. I think that artists are a little bit more in touch with that element, that binding familial element than perhaps, you know, regular folks. So we just wanted to really mirror that.
And I love that concept. That is absolutely cool. And what's even cooler is very recently you just attended Shane New York City Film Festival, which is the first one for this project. So what was that like?
That was really fun. We had sent some screeners and submitted to a couple of film fests specifically that had webisode categories. And so we put together a program of 3 of our episodes that kind of just threw you right on in to the family dynamic. I think we put together April Fool's Month, Hallowellington, and Dr. How, which is our funny spoof on, as you would imagine. Wellington is super, super nerdy, so we have a lot of good geek culture in his storylines. So we put together this package of 3, and Chain NYC said, yeah, you're totally our vibe. Welcome to the festival.
Oh, cool.
And I learned a lot about what it was like to curate the programming of festival days, because I was kind of wondering what we would be surrounded by. And really 2 of the key pieces of our series is the nostalgic feeling. Like, it really does feel like you're watching Full House, but with puppets. And I think that there is increased demand for that. I mean, that's where our hearts are, 1,000%. But I think there's also an increased demand for a return to that kind of family feeling sitcom. So there's that element, and there's also the everybody can watch it, but it gives a little nod of the head, tip of the hat to people who grew up through it. So we ended up a curated day of total 80s, 90s sitcom nostalgia block, and it was so fun. We were there with another sitcom pilot that was actually very similar to ours. It didn't have any puppets, but it was this sitcom family from the 90s that very much like in those Brady Bunch movies that they made in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't know that they're a sitcom family. And then this FBI investigator moves next door to them, and like she doesn't know why they're so weird, and everybody around them thinks they're so weird, and they try to sort of mitigate everybody's worries by like doing really, like schlocky step-by-step solutions. Like everybody presents a family rap. It was really fun. It was very, very clever. And then there was another short film about a kid who is visited by almost like a Macaulay Culkin type. You learn that there's this guy who starred in all of these films back in the 80s and early 90s, and he had this entire brand behind him, and then he just disappeared. And so his biggest fan gets a visit from him from this lost star, and it's very funny. It's very dark, and it was a lot of fun to be there with people who really dug what we were doing and also wanted to recreate that nostalgic feeling, that era, to bring it back to that. It was really cool.
Very, very cool. God, that sounds exciting. That does. That's cool. Okay, now we're going to ask another funny question. I have to ask this because I have children, and oh my God, I can't believe you did this. Jen, at one time, had participated in this Interworld web series relative to the WWE, or actually WWF, I should say. So my kids would kill me if I didn't ask, oh my God, what was that like? Because of course, they live in John Cena and Undertaker land, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not quite sure she met the Undertaker or John Cena, but I at least have to ask about it.
I think I met Mankind.
Oh my God. How does a girl like you even get into that? I mean, are you like a WWE fan and you're like, dude, I'm totally doing this? Or was this just something that came up?
No, not at all. I'm from the sticks, so I'm very familiar with people who are super into WWE. Like, I grew up with kids who ended up kind of doing that on local circuits. And that's apparently what they do now. It's not my bag, but I understand the culture of it. And the guy that wrote and created this, the production company was Black 20 Studios, and the guy who wrote it, his name is Pat Driscoll, and he is like the greatest wrestling fan on the face of the planet. He's so funny, and he's so passionate about it. And so I had seen the breakdown that they were sending out for this show called Undisputed, and they needed a guest star, and it was perfectly up my alley. A redneck, like a little ditzy, a little very overeager, very gullible. Like, these are all just spot on the types of roles that I go for. So I went in for the audition, and I had a great time, and I ended up getting cast, and we shot this over a weekend in 2009, 2010 maybe, I think. Really? And yeah. And most of the wrestlers who were working on the show were actually like local to New York, I guess smaller tier wrestlers. They still were competitive, and they, like, if they were televised, it was probably on like local access, but they were absolutely greased up, giant belt wearing, big wrestling personalities. And I know Mankind had a recurring role on the show, and the whole idea of it was a very sort of, I guess it was kind of a 30 Rock feel. It was in the writer's room and the headquarters of the WWE, and seeing how these people led their daily lives. And so my character, along with her husband, end up winning this sweepstakes and going to this mixer party, and they are just the greatest fans of all time, and it kind of just goes south from there. But it was a lot of fun. I love those guys.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't have to tell the kids that then. Yes, holla. Okay. By the way, you're coming for another show because we haven't even covered all of this. I hope you're happy. So we can only do like 2 more areas, and then you have to promise me that we're going to do like radio or live or both. I don't know. But here's the 2 things we'll cover. We'll talk about your film area, and then we'll talk about your future projects a bit, and I'll let you go because I know that you have a time schedule today. And we will commit to doing something else because we still have to talk about, obviously, your TV. We have to talk about you've obviously worked with Kelsey Grammer. I'm going to ask you why it is that people can't go online. I'm mad about this. I can't mention this real quickly. I went on Stars Q&A, and Jen's on there, and she's no longer taking questions. Little celebrity actress here. I can't ask her a question. I was going to go on there today and ask Jen a question, like, why aren't you taking any more questions? I was just curious. I'm like, why isn't she answering questions anymore? We have questions. Celebrity.
I found it kind of difficult to navigate that site and to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, because there were times that like I was being sent emails and then they weren't going through, so it was kind of super confusing. But if you would like to ask questions on there, Cindy, I will totally try and clear that up and re-up the account or something.
Okay. I don't want people like having a mob scene here where they're like, Jen's not answering and we're not getting any info. Just trying to help the fans out, okay? On to film.
I hear you.
So we'll talk about a couple of the different films here. First of all, if you really love me, oh my God, she has worked with one of my favorites. And when I say favorites, I mean I'm kind of like Wendy Williams. So like in her head, she says the celebrities are like her best friend. In my head, I've already interviewed them and we're like best friends. They just don't know it. Like before I met Sean Young, I was like, oh my God. She has no idea how much I idolized her. And then I'm like standing in front of her and I'm like, duh. I'm like, yeah. So in my head, I like interviewed her like 4 times before I met her, and I still have yet to interview her. But I'm like, that's so happening. So you just worked with, get this, people. She has worked with Frances Fisher. Wow.
Oh, I love
in my
Frances
head, I've interviewed
so
her.
much.
She doesn't know I exist, but in my head, I keep asking her questions. She just doesn't answer. What's a girl got to do to get that woman's attention? I love her. Not that I don't love you, but oh my God, the body of work.
She is a darling. She really is. She's amazing, and she is as kind and lovely as she is talented, which is
I knew it. See, I knew it. Knew it.
Yeah,
We're talking, folks. Love on the Run, by the way. I just wanted to mention the name of the title. It's a film called Love on the Run. Jen's in it, Frances Fisher, and a girl by the name of Annalee Ashman. But I'm not going to lie, girl looks like Kesha. That's what I thought. I'm like, they're having Kesha in a film. What's that all about?
Totally
okay.
looks like Kesha. She plays my totally. Annalee plays my really, really skeezy party girl sister in the film. And she is hysterical. She's absolutely hysterical. The that she got to do while we were on set, she just had everyone in stitches. So she's gonna be a delight to see when that comes out.
I'm excited. When is it coming out, by the way? Because I didn't see any kind of heads up on that. So do you have any info?
We did get distribution with Tri-Coast Worldwide. And details are to come, which hopefully I can tell you on the next interview.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand. Now, the other 2 that I wanted to touch on is, well, we got to talk about Enchantments because, well, we just do. There's this little film that Kelsey O'Brien did by the name of Enchantments, and what's neat about it is that she's kind of done a twist on the Jane Eyre story, and it's a very unique, out of the ordinary, very what's the word for it? It's in my review. If I had it in front of me, I'd be able to read it, actually. But in my opinion, one of the best parts of any good film comes down to writing, casting, and those what I call consequential moments in the story, where there's these defining moments, let's say. And Enchantment has a bunch of defining moments. The casting was absolutely ideal. Jen, you should probably talk about your character, and I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm probably wrong. When I saw that role, I was like, it was very good for you, but I could have pictured you in one of the lead roles. I mean, did you try out for something like that, or am I just off on this? This is just an assessment.
It actually did not work out with the casting that had been intended initially. Things were not going to work out with the schedule, so we had to scale down to me just coming in for one day. But it was something that I would have been involved with more heavily if we could have made it work.
I gotcha. And of course, tell everybody your role, because I can't. Did you have a name? I'm thinking because I don't know that they introduced you with a name, right? It was the couch. I remember the couch scene, and it was a repeated thing. They were kind of playing. I just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. I laughed from the moment I saw you. And it wasn't because of the way you looked. It was just the scene itself and just the chemistry between yourself and the other person sitting on the couch. It was magical. I thought it was so funny. I could see myself and 3 other girls doing the exact same scene. That sounds weird probably because I'm not a lesbian, but I could just envision that. So another tremendous performance, obviously. And I don't know this to be true or not, because outside of Horror Hotties, have you and Kelsey worked together in a film before? Because I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
No, we've only really done Enchantments and Horror Hotties before, but Kelsey is one of those magical people that I've met through the intention of making a community of more supportive, lovely, inspiring actors. She and I had the same business coach, Dallas Travers, and so we met through that program years ago, and we've had a back and forth rapport for probably the last 5 years, I think. Okay. So she's been one of the lovely people that I have gathered on the way to finding more fun and delightful collaborators.
Oh, that's wonderful. My goodness. Now, the one other area I wanted to cover before we get to some of the future projects is, of course, and I know that you are quite the feminist. I read your page. I read some of the things that you've said, etc. Free the Nipple. It was no surprise to me, of course, that you signed on and partnered up with them to do this important feature. So tell the folks, because, of course, on first hearing Free the Nipple, they're probably thinking porn, which it's not, by the way, folks. But tell everybody the significance behind this story and how we can view that or where it's accessible for people, because I think it's important that they watch such a presentation.
Great. So Free the Nipple, the real crux behind it, it's kind of the nexus of feminism. I feel like it's a keystone piece, because really what it addresses is that toplessness by men is legal virtually wherever, and toplessness for women is illegal in most places. And what this does is it keeps us at this place of gender disparity, and it also helps to, it's creating a place where we continue to over-sexualize women's bodies. The nipple is the source of life. It is where children are weaned. It is where they are nourished. It is a beautiful ability that women have to usher new babies into this world and to care for them. And so when women's nipples are illegalized, and when Facebook bans and reports photos of them, or Instagram does not allow nipples to be shown, all it does is further sexualize this completely normal part of the female anatomy. And when we juxtapose that with the horrible violence that we are allowed to see without any type of censorship, it's so much easier for us to see people hurting each other and other people getting killed than it is for us to look at a nipple. And so that is the real nexus of the outcry that this film brings into question. That it's so easy to see anything else, violence, horrible things going on in the world, but what you choose to police is women's bodies, and how that continues to drive a wedge between the actual equality of women and men, and us finally getting to a place where women are less sexualized and safer in their societies, in their cultures. So it's a huge message that is a very provocative, it's a very provocative title, and it raises a lot of eyebrows, and a lot of people don't know what to make of it. But I think of it almost like the gateway into all of these discussions that are happening right now and need to be heard more than ever.
Oh my gosh, yes. And you hit the head on the nail more than I can even tell you, because I'm just working on a film right now. Well, it's female bikers, but of course it's the same mentality of in that world. It's kind of like you fight to be equal. You fight to have a certain right and to have a certain respect about things. And especially when it comes to a woman's body, especially like you're talking. I nurse my children, of course, and I think it's a very beautiful experience. And, there are plenty of women that I know that are friends of mine who have breast cancer or have had breast cancer, have lost their breasts, et cetera. I think society, well, it's no different than pot, and I'm a huge cannabis oil supporter. It's a stigma. It's all about the stigma, and it drives me crazy. So hence, that's why I had to mention that project, of course. Can people watch that online, or can they access it anywhere?
Totally. It's available on iTunes and Netflix and Amazon Prime.
Awesome.
I think maybe Hulu, probably Hulu and VOD.
That's what I thought.
But definitely across those platforms is at the ready.
Awesome. Now, the last question I have is, of course, future projects. And I can't even say the last question because I have like 100 more, but she's cutting me off because I'm not that important. It's okay. I might have to have a glass of wine. I'm over it. Okay. Because I'm only going to see her in like 3 weeks. Yeah, that's right. Oh, at that premiere that you're not going to because you weren't in that movie. I remember. Film festival that you're not going to because you weren't in that movie. All right. There's a couple different things on this list. We, of course, mentioned the pitch pilot for the Weirdos Next Door. So the other couple things are, of course, oh, my God, she's going to be on Orange is the New Black, another person off of Orange is the New Black, so that we have that. And then, of course, you are writing your first comedic screenplay. And then, of course, obviously she's going to be in a movie with Zach Braff. If I'm not mistaken, he's that hot guy, right, that's young? He's a young hot guy? That's sad.
He is.
I don't know what he does. He's just young and hot. Doesn't really matter. So let's talk about all three of those. First of all, Orange is the New Black is a score. I'm embarrassed to say you're my third actor from the show. I haven't even watched it yet, but glimpses. I've only seen like bits and pieces for research, and I'm ashamed, and I probably should watch it, shouldn't I? Tell the folks why they should watch it now because you're on it, and tell us what you're doing on the show and when we can see you.
Well, if you haven't watched it yet, you have a good 9 months to watch 3 seasons before I premiere in June.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Okay.
It's so good. It's so good. It takes everything that we have been expected, it takes all of our expectations for women on television, and it throws them in the garbage, throws them down the incinerator, sets them on magical fire with a whole bunch of pixie dust. You are getting so much exposure to all of these stories that are, many times not very dainty, not very womanly, not very coquettish, or, I went to jail for prostitution. No, these women have these incredibly human, beautiful, heart-wrenching stories. And they're in jail, and they're of all different races and sizes, and they're not covered in makeup, and they don't look picture perfect, and they're not supposed to.
Perfect.
They're supposed to be relatable, interesting, compelling people, and it is wonderful storytelling. It's incredible performances. It's huge, and knowing Laverne Cox and what she has ushered in terms of, how okay it is to have trans performers visible on TV and in film. Oh my God. This is a game changer. I love that there are so many performances out there right now. Amazing.
Oh, that's absolutely awesome. And it's exciting. Now you're getting me excited to watch it. And you know what it is? A lot of it is I just have to wait till I get really sick. When I had pneumonia for a week. That's all you do is watch television. So maybe I'll just get a bad cold or something. Or I'll find Mr. Wonderful and we'll shack up and I'll say, I have to watch Netflix because Jen told me she's going to be on the show in 9 months. So something like that. Okay. Let's talk about Hottie Zach Braff. How did you score the movie with Little Hottie Boy?
He is directing his next film,
Nice.
called Going in Style, and the casting office that he's working with, they've had me in a number of times before, and they called me in for this film, and they let me know that I booked it. So I'm going to be shooting with him and Michael Caine in just a couple of weeks, and I'm
oh my God,
excited. Yeah.
Oh my God. She just said Michael Caine. He's been in my ad. I've interviewed him like 20 times. Oh my God.
I'm so excited to meet him. I'm really thrilled.
I want to be you. That's it. I want to be Jen. I don't want to be me anymore. Hey, you haven't happened to have worked with my other guy, and this is like my celebrity crush. So this is like serious, okay? You don't happen to have like worked with Michael Madsen, have you?
No.
I have tried 50 ways sideways. I've talked to his publicist like umpteen times now. I keep getting so close. And I'm like, this is like on my top 5 list of like celebrity crush / best interview of my entire life, because the other one is William Forsythe, and I'm not crushing on him because he scares me. Like, he really scares me. Like, I think I would pass out when I interview him, scare me. But I just thought you might have a hookup with that, but I guess not. I'm meeting Michael Caine, Zach Braff, and by the way, I worked with Kelsey Grammer and Frances Fisher, and I was on 30 Rock, and look at her life. Now I'm hating mine. Thanks for coming on the show, Jen.
You're not allowed to hate your life. That's the exact
and she has
opposite.
a husband. Ouch. Okay, the last thing I want to bring up is, of course, the most important, because I'm a writer myself, and I totally dig that you're finally going to do your first screenplay. So how's the screenplay going? Because I see you do your little Sunday screenwriting thing. So how's it going?
Mm-hmm. It's going really well. I am co-writing this with another friend of mine, Gene Gallerano, who has been to that rodeo before, and he and I about a year ago started spitballing about collaborating on a project together, and we decided that we really wanted to do a feature comedy, to write it ourselves, and to have roles in there that we would play, but mostly to just write a really good feature comedy. And so we have been writing it on and off all year, and back in April we had a reading that was very informative, and the reading went really well, and the people that we had assembled, basically the feedback was, this is really great, and you're committing to the aesthetic at about 80% right now, so if you can retool and really truly push it into overdrive and lean real hard into that aesthetic, that's going to be where this screenplay needs to be something really great. And so,
oh my God, I'm getting excited.
Oh, it's so good. It's very good. It's very exciting.
Oh, this is awesome.
And because it's been kind of a crazy summer, but we recently met back up again, and we were like, okay, I think we're ready to get this baby on its feet again. So we are currently in the middle of rewrites to get it into that like full tilt major commitment place, and then we're going to be doing a second reading in a couple of weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In fact, I think the reading is going to be a couple days before I see you at Golden Door.
Where you're going to see me. Yeah, you sure? Do you have a film there?
I might.
I'm becoming Jen. I'm so mean. I really do like her. I do, obviously. I'm singing her praises, okay? So back off, people. Okay, we have to go through this rundown before I forget, because I know your time is sparse. So listen to this list, so we want to make sure I didn't forget everything. You have both a personal page and, of course, you have an actor page. Now, just so everybody knows, Jen's last name is spelled Ponton, because I don't think I mentioned that. Your Twitter handle is @Jen and then Ponton. You have, of course, an IMDb profile. The actual website is www.jenponton.com. You have an Instagram account. You can also be found on YouTube and Vimeo, along with Amazon, along with Hulu, along with Netflix, along with God knows every screen in New York City, along with the Pack8 Productions, which, of course, they have a Facebook page, along with that's spelled PACKAY.com. Any other place where people can find you?
Oh, my gosh. Google.
Crap. And she does have a LinkedIn profile, folks, but I'm not sure she accepts everyone, so we may not want to throw that out there, but you never know. I feel really bad because we didn't cover everything, but you didn't leave me a choice.
If you like. Oh, no. I actually moved some stuff around tonight, so if you want to keep going, we can totally keep going.
Really? Because you said 5:45, and right now it's 5:40.
Yeah, I had to move some stuff around, so I am at your disposal.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Wait, let me look at my screen, though. Let me see if I can extend my show out, because I timed it for an hour, and, oh, no, I can't, because now they're not going to let me go back and change it. You know what? You're just going to come back. Can you come back next week?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll pick a day next week for part 2 of this interview, and then what we'll do is when we come on that show, we'll talk about the personal side of you. We're going to talk about vision boards. We're going to talk about some of the people you've met. We're going to talk about your experiences as a singer, because, yes, apparently she does sing. News to me until you research her. And then we're going to talk about your various different TV roles, because I'm going to hate you more, because you have been on some of my favorite shows of all time. I want to trade your life. Or, okay, maybe if you just find me a husband. Oh, hey, wait, I can ask you this question before I let you go. Okay, so a bit of good advice because, you know, I feel like I have a big date tomorrow night. And I was thinking about putting on, actors are really good at this, meaning they have really awkward situations. I need to try to pretend like I care less than I do. So let's say you were doing a scene, for instance, and you were very passionate about it, but you kind of had to put your game face on. Does that make sense? Any good suggestion on how that works? Because I really dig this guy, but I don't think he's getting it. So I have to pretend like I don't care as much. I have to be like blasé. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think.
Okay, what do I do?
The advice, well, to give you the advice that you would get in the room, in the audition room, the way to make your nerves dissipate is you look nervy and you look like someone who's all over the place and really over invested when you're nervous about yourself and you're thinking about yourself and looking from the outside in, right? So you're like, oh my God, how do I look? Oh my God, does it fit me? Oh my God, you know, is there something stuck in my teeth? Oh my God, does this dress fit? If you make it about them, all about them, it is the most compelling energy ever. And that's what, and yeah. And so that's what is always the best possible advice to get in the audition room, because you make it all about the person that you're reading with. It makes you very compelling. Automatically, you're way more in it. You're very present because you're attuned to their needs, and you are with them step by step. So if you were to just take that and to lean into it, relax into it, maybe even melt into it, right? Because it's an intimate situation for you. And you make the night about getting to know him. That might help you. Because then it takes all the pressure off you, right? And you'll just be amazing. You'll be compelling. I mean, you interview people for a living, so this comes like second nature to you.
I know, except for the fact that I really like him. See, that's the hard part. I think it's always difficult when you cannot put your head in front of your heart. You know, I left him. I was like, okay, I'm leaving him. I really want to be with him, but you know, he can't get his life together. And then that lasted like a month. And then he called last night and he's like, I really miss you. And I'm like, I know, I'm not going on dates either. And so it was kind of like, he's either going to come over here, have dinner, and I'm going to have a relationship status change, or it's, I have to delete you 100%. So it's like, that's why I'm like on the fence. I'm like, I have to act like this isn't nearly as important as it is, because it's like, okay. And then if I end up like completely deleting him, then yes, you have to find me someone, preferably not an actor. I know that sounds bad, doesn't it? I love my artist friends, but here's the thing. I have a passion, and sometimes it's I'm sure you can relate, it's an intensity. Sometimes I get so enthralled and excited with what I do that it becomes an obsession, just like my children, you know, in a healthy way. I mean, I don't neglect things, but I think it's hard sometimes for an actor to not be acting. Does that make sense?
Totally.
At least from what I've seen, like some of the actors I've met are wonderful people through and through. They know how to walk in a room, do their job for like 6-8 hours, and then they go home and there's that's it. You know, it's just Steve at home or it's just Bob at home. You know what I mean? There's no, oh, wait, I went and I played a mobster on TV. You know what I'm talking about? And I think some of the men that I've met struggle with that a lot, where it's kind of like, you can't just expect me to be a different person. Well, you're the same man. You just played someone different, you know? So I'm like, okay, well, you know, somebody, you know what? Kelsey wanted to introduce me to that guy from that show, Rescue Me, the actor.
That is
you know,
weird?
the one, he was, no, the other guy, the guy that died, that he keeps seeing in the visions. He was at the last film festival. Soho. He was he was on the last day. He was in Sam. Did you see Sam?
No, I didn't.
That's a good film, I heard. I still have to get Nicholas on the show. But
awesome.
James McCaffrey, that's it. That's his name, right? James McCaffrey. He used to be on Rescue Me, this guy, and he's like, you'd be really good with him. And then, of course, we had talked about a few other actors that you know, actually. And I'm like, here's the hard part. My luck, I'll come to New York, and you will find me someone, and then I have to say, oh, wait, I have to go home to Wisconsin now. And so it's like, I love you, see you, I have to go home now, you know, that sort of thing. What can I say?
Right.
Or you could just be a good friend and just, you know, get Michael Madsen to New York before like September 23rd. That would really be nice. But he's married. I can't have him, but I could just stare at him. I think that would work for me. I'll interview you and stare at you. That works. Okay, now I'm going into training here. Okay. Can we do next week Wednesday? Does that work? Should we just set a date right now? Is next Wednesday workable for you?
I could totally do next Wednesday. Could we do earlier in the afternoon though?
Let me look. Let me just check the date, only because my kids are always gone on Wednesday, so I'm pretty flexible when it comes to fixing time. What time are you thinking?
I would have a hard out at 4:00 Eastern, so 3:00 Central.
So, okay, yeah, I don't think I need more than 1 hour. So let's do 3:00 on September 9th. We'll put you on there and all that good stuff. And then we can finish up the whole thing. This way we don't have to rush and all that good jazz. I have time to be less intimidated by you, and then I can learn to deal with the resentment I have of all this stuff in your life. No, in all seriousness. And next week, Wednesday, just so you know, most of the time when people come on my show, the last part of the show is I get to tell you what I think of you, and the audience gets to hear what I think of you. But I'm going to save that for next time because it tends to make people cry, or they end up not being able to say anything, and I don't want to have to do that to you because it's kind of encompassed in a nice little write-up. In all honesty, folks, I will say this much about Jen. The very first time I met her, she literally was very welcoming, very embracing. She was very cordial and very professional. She looked beautiful, and I don't think she really had any idea, and this is very truthful, how much more she radiated in the presence of her husband. I'm a firm believer that whatever magic and success she has earned all by herself, but I'm not fooled by 1 second in thinking that the love of a good person has enriched her 100% and made you even more better, just more better and more beautiful than you are already. So, folks, I'm so pleased that I had her on today. It
is absolutely true. You know, he is an enormous support for me. He's my best friend, and what's really lovely is that I have been able to help him thrive in a new self-employment career for himself. And so it's lovely for us to give to each other what we receive from each other, which is this support and backing of pursuing the dream, pursuing the passion. It's very, very special. It's very special. We don't take it for granted.
That's sweet. And I've said that 1.5 million times. I think truly that I am blessed and I'm a far better individual. I work better and I'm more passionate. Being surrounded by people that care about you, having a good support system of friends and loved ones is majorly important. And you've been very blessed in that regard. And folks, no lie, Jen has picked out some significantly great roles for herself that have just exemplified the true character and talent that she possesses. So we'll kind of leave it at that for right now until next week. But I just didn't want everybody thinking, yes, I'm giving her a lot of crap. But usually most people that come on this show, Kelsey laughed from the start to the finish too. And thank you. And God bless to Kelsey, both Kelsey and Johnny Gallagher, because Johnny Gallagher really introduced me to Kelsey, which introduced me to you and a legion of other people, and now Deborah Twist, And courtesy of Deborah Twist, that's how I'm going to Golden Door. So I've just been so blessed. Just meeting all of you is a blessing, and everything that comes along with this. And I mean it. I would absolutely love to see you at Golden Door. I think it's going to be major fun. I'm really, really getting excited. So let's chat next week, Wednesday. I'll let you off to your wonderful husband, and I have to make some chicken soup, and I think I have to go out drinking. Somebody's inviting me to some soiree. Boy, that sounds professional. I'm going to go have a drink now and cook some chicken soup. Thank you. Thank you. I do. I absolutely enjoy it. I didn't do anything. I just brought an absolutely popular, fabulous, wonderful person on the show so that 3,000 or 5,000 people more will become all Jen fans. And if I have my way, we'll be protesting for horror hotties in New York City and Wisconsin. So get prepared.
Oh, I am behind it 1,000%.
There we go. Awesome. All right, sweetheart, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you next week, Wednesday, and then I'll keep you in the loop as far as my plans and agenda for the festival.
All right, Cindy, you bet. And I'm going to be sending you some major good vibes for your date tomorrow, okay?
Oh, God. Thank you, my darling. Thank you. All my best to your husband, of course, and tell him I said hello, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. Big hugs to you.
All right, and you too, darling. Talk to you soon. Bye.
You bet. Bye.
Is she the most fabulous human being ever? I can't even say enough about her. So once again, Kelsey O'Brien, I don't know when you're going to get a chance to listen to this, but when you do, thank you for casting her. Thank you for making that production. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity and the gateway to be able to meet people like Jen and Jesse and Andrew and John Gallagher and Steve Staniels and everybody that I've met. And obviously, Kelsey, you're a diamond and a gem, and you know that. I want to remind everybody, Jen, www.jenponton.com. She has an Instagram account. She has a Twitter account, which is and that's Jen, Ponton. She has an IMDb profile. Her works can be found on YouTube, Vimeo, also on Amazon, Hulu, and of course, obviously, Netflix, and I believe it's Amazon Prime you have to go on to. Did not want to forget to mention www.packay.com, which is, of course, her productions, along with her two partners. They also have a Facebook page, in addition to which we don't want to forget www.theweirdsnextdoor.com, which is, of course, part of Packay Productions. Thank you so much to Jen for taking the time today and, of course, agreeing to come back next Wednesday to finish our interview. Want to remind everybody, big interview again tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. Janine Dettori is on the show. We're going to be talking about her brand new boutique, which is and that's BEE Tween, TWEEN, which just opened up in Staten Island. We're going to talk about her other business, Country Boutique, and of course we may just bring up her sister, which of course any of you who live in New York already know that this happens to also be. Janine happens to be the sister of Big Ange from Mob Wives. So I look forward to chit-chatting with her, 4 o'clock Central Standard Time tomorrow, and we're still waiting on confirmation about Jim Madonna on Friday's show. So thanks so much to everybody. Stay in the air conditioning. It's very hot if you're in Wisconsin or otherwise. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, folks.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.